Continuing from page 93, because her sins have reached the upper limits of the Shamayim, and Elohim is aware of all her transgressions, pay her double what she is due, according to her works. And fill her cup twice, because she loved to brag. Give her grief and humility, because she said in her heart, I am a sitting queen, not a widow in mourning, and I have no regrets. Now because of this, death and mourning and famine and fire will come to her by the might of Yahweh Elohim judging her. And the kings of the Eretz will weep and mourn for her when those who reveled in her idolatry see the smoke when she is burning. And those watching from a distance in horror say, Oi, oi, the great mighty city Babel, at 1 o'clock your judgment comes. And merchants on the Eretz mourn and lament what is happening, because no Ish are buying from the merchants. Goods of gold and silver and precious stones and gems and cotton and scarlet and silk and crimson and balsam from trees and ivory and exotics and rare items of brass and iron and marble. And cinnamon bark and myrrh and frankincense and wine and oil and flour and wheat and cattle and sheep and horses and chariots and body and souls of sons of Adam. And the fruit of the lust of your soul will be removed from you, and all the rich and shiny things will be gone from you, and the buyers will no longer be found. For those that became rich from her now stand from afar in fear of retribution, saying, Oi, oi, to the great city, clothed in purple and crimson, adorned in gold and precious stones and pearls. Because at that hour all the wealth and riches were destroyed, and captains of the ships and everyone that sails to that place, and the sailors and all that work at sea stood afar off. And when they wept, they saw the smoke from her burning, saying, Who is like that great city? And they cast dust on their heads, weeping and mourning, saying, Oi, oi, the great city became rich from the ships, and in 1 hour the sea has become desolate. And up to the Shamayim they were rejoicing that Elohim judged and sentenced her. And a powerful malach picked up a stone as if it were a large pebble and cast it into the sea and said, This is how the great city will be swept away, and you won't find it ever again. No more will the sound of harps and musicians on flutes and blowing shofars be heard, or artisans or the sounds of grinding be heard any more. And the light of menorahs will no longer be seen, or the sounds of weddings, because your great merchants exploited all the goyim. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and the holy ones slaughtered on the Eretz. And after that I heard a powerful voice of many crowds in the Shamayim saying, Hallelujah. This means to Yah, the salvation, the glory, and the beauty and honor to Eloheinu. This is what we know as Hallelujah. It means in Hebrew, Ha means the, Lu is to, Yah. So this is to the Yah. And again they said, Hallelujah to Yah, greater year after year. And the 24 elders and the beings fell and bowed to Elohim on the throne, saying, Truly, Hallelujah. And a voice from the throne said, All your servants, big and small, who fear you, praise you, Eloheinu. And I heard a large crowd like the sound of many waters, and the thunder of a great thunderstorm, saying, Hallelujah, the King, Yahweh Eloheinu, holding all. And remember The name Yahava is just an acronym. It means past, present, and future. We are happy and rejoice and give glory because the groom of the Seh. Now remember, this is a member of a flock, or it means a flock, came because his bride prepared herself, and that means the people. It doesn't mean one particular person. A whole community of believers is the bride, and she was given a garment of pure white cotton, like the garments of the holy ones, and was said to me, "Write, blessed are those invited to dine at the wedding of the Seh. I speak the truth of Elohim." Now there's nothing in here about Jesus or a lamb. This all has to do with the believers. And I fell to my feet to worship him, and he said, "Do you not see that I am your colleague and brother with the testimony of the salvation? To Elohim bow down, because testimony of salvation is the ruach of prophecy." This describes it very succinctly. You don't bow down to anyone but Elohim, to God. The salvation belongs to him alone. And I saw for myself the Shamayim opening, and there was a white horse, and the one on it was called Trustworthy and Righteous, who fights for justice. And his eyes were like flames of fire, and on his head were many wreaths, and he has many names written on them that no man knows but him. And he was wrapped in a cloth covered in blood, and he called his name Word of the Elohim. And armies of the Shamayim followed on white horses, wearing garments of pure white cotton. And out of his mouth came a sharp sword to strike the Goyim. And he will shepherd them with the tribe of iron, and lead them to the winepress of the skin bottle of the Elohim, who holds all. Now this is very mysterious, because here we go back again, and he's going to be striking at the Goyim who have the tribe of iron, and this is the iron cross. They're going to be led into the winepress of the skin bottle or Boda bottle of the Elohim, who holds all. And on his garment and on his thigh is written the name King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw a Malach standing in the east, and he shouted in a great voice to all the birds flying in the Shamayim, "Come dine with the great Elohim. Come eat the flesh of the kings that ruled thousands, and the flesh of the Gibborim, and the flesh of horses and their riders, and the flesh of all the sons of freemen and slaves, great and small." And I saw the Chayot Tereph and all the kings of the Eretz and their armies gathered to make war with the one on the horse and his armies. Now we have another great mystery here that's been very misunderstood. Who are these Gibborim? Now the Freemasons, who were previously the Knights Templar, who took over the Temple Mount and actually breached the Holy Temple below and were able to steal many, many things. I'll be talking about that a little bit later. They say that they are the Gibborim. The Gibborim are mentioned in Bereshit Genesis during the time of Noah, but translated normally as heroes or great men of old, which makes no sense. The Gibborim are themselves an entity that have been working against Yahweh Elohim since the beginning. Now, today we have many Freemason-type societies and clubs, and even though you hear people on the internet say they're a 32nd degree, 33rd degree, I'm going to say most, if not all, have no idea what they're doing and what the mystery is. The Freemasons were originally the Knights Templar, who were originally the Knights Hospitaller. They actually took over Jerusalem And they killed many Jews, many Arabs, all the ancient tribes in those areas. And they've had the Temple Mount for many years. And what they did with their whole goal was, that's why they were called the Knights Templar, was to breach the Temple Mount, which they did. And they got in there and they removed many, many, many artifacts, many ancient documents. Now, some of them, realizing what they found, actually turned against the church. And those were crucified, remember, in Paris. Some of their famous leaders. And then suddenly the church put out a notice that all the Knights Templars were to be rounded up. This organization is alive and well today. They are the Knights of Malta. You can actually go on their website and it will give you their history all the way back to the Knights Templar. The Knights of Malta is directly connected to the Vatican. You can also read on their website, just like the Knights Templar were and the Knights Hospitaller before them, they are a military order. They're a sovereign military order. They are not a religious order. And they also have a seat at the UN and many other large organizations around the world. And the Hayat Taref was captured, and the lying prophet that gave false signs that led astray, and to receive the Sim'on of the Hayat Taref, and to bow to her image, and they were both thrown into a lake of burning sulfur. And the rest were killed by the sword in the mouth of the one on the horse, and all the birds had their fill of flesh. Now, we are lucky enough, believe it or not, to see the beginning stages of the true testimony with the Sim-On or Sim chip, and what is going to be happening with AI or some kind of a hologram or something that dies or was dead and comes to life again, and people start worshiping that person or that image as if it was something they were waiting for. And I saw a Malak coming down from the Shamayim with the key to the Om, that means the deep, and a large chain in his hand. And he caught the Ta'anin, the Nak, the Kadmoni, or Ancient One, the original one, the informer, and the enemy that tricked everyone on the Eretz. And he was bound for 1,000 years. And he will still lead the Goyim astray until the 1,000 years are over. But after this, he must be released for a short time. Now, I'm going to continue because we're kind of going to go in the middle of a paragraph here with the next series that should be coming tomorrow or the next day. Now, if you're like me and you like to do your own research, you're also very creative, and you also like to keep your dates and times and special occasions kind of all in one place. I travel a lot. So I created this My 365 journal, daytimer, datebook, sketchwork, whatever you need it to be. It only has numbers, so you don't need to wait for the new year, the new month, and it has very little graphics, so it's not going to overwhelm you with different themes. Now, it does come in a number of different colors. It has over 700 pages, and it's soft cover. It's not too big, not too small, so you can throw it in your suitcase, your purse, your backpack, whichever. But I find it to be very helpful. It's now available on Amazon.com under My 365 by Aviv KLN.